Right now, here in the US, we recently surpassed $1.27 trillion in credit card debt. That's scary in itself, right? But what's even scarier is that it's normalized. Most people think that, you know what, I have credit card debt, or yeah, I have $8,000 worth of credit card debt, and they carry that balance, and it's just become a normal part of everybody's life. Now, I've often talked about how I got into credit card debt in my 20s. I was a young college kid, stepped on a college campus, and I fell into that credit card trap. They gave a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old a credit card with the ability to go out and do something that I was never able to do up until that point, which was to go out and buy things that I didn't even need, things that I wanted. And I was able to buy them without having to pay any cash for them. So I was able to buy things, walk out of the store, and not even pay with it with real money. And whenever I was getting my credit card bill every single month, it really didn't matter to me because I had a balance of maybe $500 or $600 at the time. And 9 out of 10 times that was maxed out, especially right away. But I was only required to pay like $50 or $60 a month. So I had a part-time job, so I was able to pay that $60. And it wasn't until I actually got a little bit older and I started to realize like, if I pay this $60 and I look at how much is actually going towards interest and what's going towards principal, that's when that light bulb clicked for me. That's when I had that light bulb moment where I was just like, okay, I'm paying $60, $8 is going towards principal and $52 is going towards the interest. And I lived like that for a long time because, hey, I could make the minimum payment and that's all that really mattered. I thought I was doing things the right way. To be honest with you, I didn't know how to do it the right way, but I thought that I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was paying my bills. And for a lot of other people that fall into this same trap, and I call it a trap because it's a credit card trap, that's where we start to say, okay, my credit card payment is $400 a month, but what they fail to realize is that $325 to $350 of that is going to interest. And that is just something that really kills your ability to build wealth right out of the gate. And I was just like most other people that get into that debt trap in their 20s where you're not making a lot of money, but you're running up a lot of debt because we live in a society where we want things now. We don't want to wait. And we're able to get it now with Afterpay, with Klarna, with credit cards, buy now, pay later, in-store charge cards. I mean, these things give us access to things that we don't really need. They're wants, but we don't need them. And unfortunately, many people fall into this trap. And then later on, when you get a little bit older, you're starting to have families and things of that nature. You add the cost of raising a family that many people have. And then, of course, you add on top of that student loan debt, which a lot of people have. And it's easy to see how you can actually derail your entire ability to build wealth in your 20s, and it's so hard to actually get back on track. There's a lot of people that may even justify spending money that they don't even have on credit cards that they can't pay back right away because they want to get the rewards. Now, I get it. Everybody likes a reward, right? You can spend money maybe with American Airlines, and if you spend a certain amount of money, you can get a free flight. But the problem is that free flight comes with debt that you can't pay back. It's a never-ending journey down a financial black hole. As I got older and I started to try to figure out like, okay, how am I going to get myself out of this credit card debt? I had a lot of sleepless nights. I had a lot of things that I should have been doing that I couldn't do. I couldn't fully contribute to my 401k. I couldn't contribute to a brokerage account because I was in debt. Not only from the credit cards, but from the cars and the student loans as well. I mean, these things weigh heavy on most people. And then you often have these conversations with people and they say, how am I supposed to get ahead? I've got rent, I've got utilities, I've got student loans, I've got, car payments, and all of these things quickly add up. And that's why most people end up in a situation to where they feel stuck. And I remember back in the 80s, because I'm an 80s baby. And back then, we didn't have much. I mean, most of the time we didn't even have a family vehicle. We didn't take vacations. But we didn't have a lot of credit card debt. We had other debt. And it seemed like as I got older in the 90s and the early 2000s, it seems like the rise of the buy now, pay later, and the rise of people being on credit card debt to buy things that they don't even need just completely exploded to where we are today. Now, with all that said, there were a few things that I was able to do in my late 20s that helped me to break that cycle, break that credit card debt cycle that I've never allowed myself to get back into. Number one, I cut up all my cards. I was done using credit cards. It was going to be a never-ending financial black hole that was taking everything that I earned unless I actually took this step. And if you're not ready to get rid of the credit cards because you can't control yourself with them, you might think I could just put them away, I can control myself. Your actions up to this point prove otherwise. Get rid of the credit cards. Number two, I put together a very strict budget. I allocated money for my family to do the things that we needed to do, but everything above and beyond that went to debt pay down. I wanted to make sure that I was laser focused on paying off that debt. Nothing else mattered at that point. I wasn't worried about the vacations. I wasn't worried about buying new clothes. I wasn't worried about buying unnecessary things. It was just focusing on the debt. Number three, I used other credit cards to pay off credit cards. So I know I just told you to cut up cards. I get it. And this is all going to make sense. What I did is back in the day, and these things may still happen now, but I would get credit card balance transfer offers in the mail. And whenever I got those, I would normally just throw them away. But what I started to do is I would accept one of those and I would transfer as much of my credit card debt onto a new card. I would still cut up that new one whenever it came in. I wasn't using it, but I was just using the balance transfer. And I believe it was like 3 or 4% of the total amount transferred. And I could do that over a 12 or 18 month period, depending on the card at that time. I was doing balance transfers to transfer as much of my debt onto those new cards to pay them off at 0% interest. And why those balances were at 0% for 12 to 18 months or whatever it was, I would pay the minimums on those, and then I would focus the rest of my dollars on paying off the debt that I wasn't able to transfer over to that 0% balance. Hope that makes sense. But I did this for 2 or 3 years over multiple credit cards. Now that's probably taking the hatchet approach, and I typically don't recommend this method to people, especially if you can't control yourself with credit cards. But that was part of the process that I used. I used other banks to pay off credit cards. And once I finally got to a point where I made that last credit card payment, which was one of the best feelings in the world, I made a promise to myself that I would never allow myself to get into credit card debt that I couldn't pay in full every single month. And that was over 15 years ago. And up until this point, I have never carried a credit card balance month over month. It's just a habit that I picked up along the way, and I've never broken it, and I never intend to break that. So if you could be responsible with credit cards, that's one thing, but most people aren't. And the data proves that. And if you're in this credit card trap that I'm talking about in today's video, then you understand what I'm talking about. And if you're ready to take that next step to actually get out of that debt, try some of the things that I mentioned. Cutting out those cards, putting that budget into place. I wouldn't recommend using other banks if you're not responsible enough to do that, but those were all part of the tools in the toolbox that I used to get myself out of debt. And once I actually got out of debt, then things started to happen for me. I was able to invest more in my 401k. I was able to invest in a brokerage. I was able to pay off other debt that I had, my student loan debt. I was able to clear that out. So options start to open up whenever you break from those chains of credit card debt. And once you get out, make a promise to yourself to never put yourself back into that position ever again. Over here on my channel, we don't make excuses for what happened in the past. We know that we cannot change what happened in the past, but we can definitely put processes and procedures in place to help secure our future. We talk about debt pay down, we talk about investing and being extremely responsible with our money, which will allow us to get to our financial destination much earlier than what they tell us, right? Society tells us 60, 65, 70. That's whenever we're able to finally let our foot off the gas and enjoy ourselves. Over here, we're looking to do that much sooner.